All right, we've talked about the desk, we've talked about the chair, we've talked about the chairs on the other side of the desk. Tonight, let's talk about the ceilings, the walls, and the floors and finish off this Perfect Principles office on our Build the Perfect series.
The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation. We have less than 10 spots remaining for the Maryland Association of Christian Schools Administrators Retreat happening on March 24th in Hartford County, Maryland. Please be sure to email mark@christianprinciplespodcast.com to register for the event. 8:30 to 3 p.m., free for Max Admin and only $20 for others. You won't want to miss this encouraging time together. Invest in yourself and your school for His glory. We can't wait to see you there. Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockel. Like we said, we're finishing off our Building the Perfect Principles office series. And to get right into it, we're going to look up to our ceilings. And so the interesting thing, of course, as the internet is full of the minutia. And what we found was that there were actually several friends or principals who are revamping their office. They asked for help from the internet in general as to, hey, what would you guys put in a good principal's office? And some of the responses were quite interesting. So we're going to use those as launching off points tonight. But first out, the ceiling. So we're looking up. One said the biggest improvement almost every office fails to make is to replace the ugly and unflattering and utilitarian fluorescent lighting with table and floor lamps. Now, it's kind of hard. Like, if you have those in the ceiling, you don't want to pull the bulbs out, then it just looks bad. Like, unless you're going to cover it somehow with a new ceiling. So unless you're going to completely replace, I don't know how you would pull out the fluorescent lighting. You just wouldn't use it, maybe. But I also thought, you know what? I would much rather have like window lighting if window lighting was available. So between that and table and floor lamps, that would make a more homey feel than the fluorescent lighting of a ceiling. What did you want to say?
Well, I was going to say, when you first mentioned the halogen lights, I was thinking, instead of having that typical overlay of what's there, have you seen where, like, especially in, like, dentist's office, they put like the seascape
over top
of it? And so that's what I was thinking, like, could you have like a Hawaiian, like a sky or something that's gonna spruce up the office a little bit?
You can buy branded light covers, or I think of the teachers' classrooms who are trying to be sensitive to those students who are sensitive about those things, and their studies, of course, on autism and those sorts of lighting. So teachers who are trying to be sensitive that way. But either way, point well taken. We should look at our ceiling and make sure that the lighting is not distracting if it doesn't have to be. I also think about the ceiling when I think about places that get forgotten, corners and cobwebs. They get forgotten often in cleaning because we think about our space last, perhaps.
Yeah. Now, I will say there's one thing in my office, thinking of the ceilings, that I do really like.
Okay.
I do have the typical, well, they're LEDs now, but LED, but the typical, not really fancy looking light.
Sure.
But I also, right over my desk, have a singular kind of spotlight that shines down on my desk. So I don't have to have all of my office lights on, which is kind of nice. Like, if I want to be, low key, don't want people to really think I'm in my office, I can have my lights off, except for that one that's right over my desk. Maybe I have a student, like my own kid, that's sick and I need him to sleep, but I still need to get work done. I can turn the lights off, but still have that one. So that is a really nice thing.
That's a cool feature. So we're building this perfect one. So as far as we're saying, of course, most ceilings are just going to be white, but some kind of relevant, non-distracting, appropriate color on the ceiling. If you got a drop ceiling or something, making sure, again, it's not water damaged, or making sure that if you need the tiles, you replace the tiles.
I think the key word is not distracting.
Yeah, can't be distracting.
When you are drawn to the ceiling because of not so great things, it's time to do something.
And that's a great jumping off point for the walls, too. We don't want our walls to be distracting. So there was a lot of things said in these forums, was what they are, about the walls. I'll use this example. We loved our elementary school principal. Her office reflected her love of her students, who she called her kids. For instance, at the beginning of each school year, she had one of the dads, who was a photographer, grab a half a dozen photos in a black and white candid close-ups for each child. Those were framed for her office and give it to the child at the end of the year. What an interesting thought. Cool. Like, if you can get that worked out and then have it at the end of the year. We also see calls for the art classes to make something that is nice enough to be framed, or a rotation of student art projects, either digitally, like on a couple digital frames around the office. Mm-hmm. But there's also calls in these forums, and I think, going back to my minimalistic thoughts, this is where more I would be, for one nice print. So my wife realized that I liked the lithographs, mm-hmm. and a lithograph is the complete text of a book that has been organized into a picture. So I already said my favorite book is Huckleberry Finn, and the central image of Huckleberry Finn on the or for that lithograph specifically is the gang of boys. And so you have this menagerie, this. Now I think I'm wrong about that. Now I'm forgetting if that was the Tom Sawyer lithograph or if that was the Huckleberry Finn one. But either way, you have
one of them. I think was a hat, just like the straw hat, wasn't it?
Well, that would have been Huckleberry Finn then.
Yeah,
that would have been, that might have been what it was. Either way, this frame was significant. It was 3 foot by 4 foot or so, and it was my back wall. And talk about a talking piece. That was a point of conversation for people that came in. And to be honest, outside of that, as somebody else brings up on these forums, my diplomas should be on the wall, not taking up space on my desk. Diplomas and a nice picture, a significantly sized picture that makes me happy or gets me thinking when I walk in, that's probably good enough for me. I mean, we see the walls behind you whenever we see you recording at school, and we
not
know
minimalistic.
There's a lot of stuff up there, but whatsoever. It looks nicely spaced. So what?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I don't like it to be extremely busy, and I do like it to be purposeful. So
yes,
everything that is on my walls, and this is what I was thinking about was, there's several points you definitely want to be hitting
mm-hmm.
when it comes to your wall decor. And I really I want to reiterate the point of keeping it current. I really struggle with that. I put so much time and thought into design of the walls. It's like, why should I change it? But I mean, I'll even have kids come in and be like, "Oh, look, it's me when I was a baby." Like it's like, yeah, okay, it is time to change that one.
Okay,
but it is kind of neat too, because they're like, "Oh yeah, you still have me up there." But the other thing is, you do have your own personality, like even as you said with your Huck Finn print.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is Chamberlain charging down. On the second day of Gettysburg. That's my pride and joy right
there.
That's
the swinging gate, right? That's the swinging gate one? Yeah.
Swinging the door, yeah.
Swinging gate.
And there's, a lot of history, of course. I'm a history
mm-hmm.
teacher, so I have a ton of that from my history classroom. But, as far as like inspirational, motivational, those kind of things are the other points that I very purposely wanted to make sure are plotted all around at different points. I actually found these little tiny like wooden tiles
mm-hmm.
that have either a verse, like a portion of a verse, or something biblically inspirational, and I
mm-hmm.
scattered those all around my walls. So when kids are just sitting there because they're in trouble, they look around and they see "Be kind," and they, oh yeah, so I'm supposed to do that. That kind of stuff.
As I'm on this accreditation visit, and it's for the American Association of Christian Schools, who will sponsor us at some point, maybe. No, because it's for AACS. I think about the demand that AACS has of, as any accrediting body is supposed to. They are there to make sure that the school is simply doing what it's saying it's supposed to do. So if the school is claiming to be a Christian school, I should see Christian icons. Is that the right word? I should see Christian symbols all around the walls. I should feel like I'm in. Yeah.
I love how they say that it's obviously Christian. Like when you walk in, it is obviously a Christian office. Yeah.
So for my office, I probably would need to add something past my Huckleberry Finn and my diplomas, even though one of my diplomas is from a Christian university. Like, I should probably add a little bit more into that so they see, oh, yes, this is a Christian. And maybe that's when my desk art comes into play, but maybe not the wall. The wall is an easy place. So besides that, of course, there's the color of the walls. We need to make sure, as you said earlier, our color is not distracting. But what are some things we could do? How about your school colors? Depending on what your school colors are, maybe like one accent wall anyway that would be at least a standoff. And it doesn't have to be the one behind you. It could be the one to the side. Just something to scream, I love my school, the pride of the school.
And if it's not represented in the color, I mean, you're definitely wanting to make sure you have school, like whether your logo, mascot, perhaps some history photos. One of the things I really love in my office, I was given a print of the Maryland flag, and I have our school crest on top of the Maryland flag. So very much Eastern Shore feel, and then an older picture of me with the students out at the flag, I think on September 11th or something like that. So you go in and you're automatically tied into, oh, school is here. This is for the school. He loves the school. It's representative of not just that, but also the state. So, that kind of feel. I mean, there's other things that you can have, accolades that your school's received, perhaps. Again, there may be other places to house those things or to showcase those things than just the office, but definitely want to make sure that is like, I have new families coming to my office to interview and all that kind of thing, so that they can get a glimpse of what the school is like just from stepping to my office. That's a big win.
Absolutely. You mentioned the Maryland flag. There's a YouTuber whose name is CP Gray, and there's a lot of educational things that he works through. I'm not giving a blanket admission that CP Gray is this wonderful YouTuber, but his stuff is engaging and it's fun. And he did a rate your state flag. And so he had a very specific tier for the state flags, and if it had any words on it, it was automatically going to fail. But then he had to have a fail A, a fail B, a fail C, because so many words have flags on it, or so many have seals that have flags, or seals that have words and different things. It's a wonderful video, but he gets to the Maryland flag halfway through, and he's like, Maryland, and each one's represented by this little stick figure that comes up with the flag, and this stick figure is wearing a dress and a cape and a hat that's all Maryland stuff. He's like, Maryland, that is so hideous. It's so hideous it falls from the A range off the table and back up onto the A range. Oh, you wear that with pride, Maryland. You wear that with pride. That is so hideous. It's gotta pass. It's great. I'm gonna try to do a voice. I'm gonna try to do a clip, a reel over a reel on that section right there. See if I can get some more likes on it. But
not to
it's unique.
Put some hate out there, but I'm pretty sure that. So any YouTuber who posts that kind of a challenge, let's see who has the best flag, could not be coming from the state of Delaware.
Oh no!
I think 100 times out of 100, that one is always at the bottom of the list.
Well, he also talks about how Virginia's has Greek sort of nudity on it as well as violence on it, because there's I think the female figure is stepping on the neck of their slain enemy or whatever it is. He's like, whoa. So anyway,
as we're talking about your walls, if your flag isn't so great, maybe don't include that one.
Don't put your flag up there.
I'll say if you're in New Mexico, go for it, because that one's almost always on the top of the list.
He loves Texas, the Arizona flag, the Texas flag. Yeah. He finds those to be just spot on. Even the Ohio flag.
Sure.
So
it's
all those
odd. It's an odd shape.
Mm-hmm.
Go Buckeyes.
Points that out. Okay, other wall pieces. I like this line. Every year needs to concentrate on this year's students, and you already said that. Affirm that you need to update some things, so get on that. But here's another one: coat hooks. Do you want a freestanding coat rack in your office, or just hooks on the wall? So the principal I worked with, the Christmas present that I got after being there for a few weeks, and it was just because it was annoying her, so it was an early Christmas present, was 4 coat hooks on a board, and you're supposed to screw that into your wall. She got that for me. It never actually made it up in my office, but it did make it up elsewhere in my house now. because I had a habit of just coming in and just throwing my coat on my chair, and it annoyed her to death because she had, of course, a really nice, like a little standing hook for the coat and whatnot. So she did not appreciate how I was just chucking my coat wherever I found it appropriate. So maybe coat hooks for you. Maybe that's a big thing. And then, of course, windows. Or hopefully the principal's office is, we're imagining it's probably one of the nicer offices in the school, or at least one that has some thought into being the actual, like, this is our marquee office, this is our priority office. So hopefully someone designed it with some windows in it. But if not, perhaps mounting a monitor so you can see outside, the live view outside, like the cruises have. No, I don't know about that, but still, if you have windows, making sure the window treatments are not destroyed. It annoys me so much. Those blinds.
I hate them.
I hate them. I don't want to put them up. I just want to get just canvas curtains and put those up.
Yeah, they don't make them the way they used to. Like
whatever it is.
You breathe on them wrong and they just snap apart.
I do like the ones that you push up without the pull down string. You just push them up.
Those
I like.
Those ones are almost worse though. Like they are almost more brittle. But
I get it.
But yeah, I know. I in our first, my wife and I in our first house when we had to buy window blinds, it was the same thing. I hate that. So we got canvas blinds. Now, granted, when those like strings break, they're so annoying too. but at least they look better. Yeah.
Well, also the big like canvas drapes, if you just have those draped over almost like bedroom curtains or something, at some point some kid's going to come in there and like yank on them. My own kids will come in there and yank on them and get them off the wall. So that's maybe not the best idea. But my perfect situation, I do like I want a window, and I want the window blinds that I can just push up rather than having to mess with the string on, and some nice window treatments to complement the wall color and everything else. I probably don't have myself creating this, let's be honest. I have somebody else making this for me because it would not be that good if it was for me. But
the Christian Principles Podcast is excited to share that we've joined the Herzog Foundation Podcast Network, a hub dedicated to advancing K-12 education and the Christian values we all share. The Herzog Foundation exists to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide, helping families and culture flourish. One of their most impactful resources for Christian school leaders like us is the Herzog Foundation Institute. This program offers fully funded training events and retreats, enabling us to sharpen our skills without adding cost to our schools. Led by national experts, these events cover essential topics like marketing, donor development, and culture building, all tailored to the unique needs of Christian schools. Held monthly in Kansas City and other locations across the country, these events equip schools and their leaders with the tools and strategies they need to thrive. Don't miss the opportunity to explore all the Herzog Foundation has to offer. Together, we can strengthen Christ-centered education. Learn more at herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Moving on, one of the last things talked about in this string anyway is remembering that you are projecting something. And I think of this more now with the walls and the ceilings and the floors than I do to some extent the desk and the seat, but more so here. You're presenting principle. You're presenting building leader. You're presenting head of the school. You need to project that when they walk in. There needs to be an understanding that this is the highest seat of authority in the building. Everybody walking in needs to come away with that. And there, I would say biblically, there's great reasons for us to not project that needlessly. There's a need for us to make sure that we are not doing that in a selfish way or with pride or with a bombastic, definitely not hypocritically. Yeah. But we do need evidence that we are serious. This is where the buck stops. So this is well said. Make sure it projects more principal, less teacher, more CEO, less teacher. So flowers that maybe I grow myself, a very specific, like it shouldn't be a greenhouse in there. I've walked into offices like that. I don't appreciate that at all. Also, I don't have green thumbs. I have whatever kills green thumbs.
I have a very fake plant in my office, and I'm very proud of it. I need to remember to dust it every once in a while, but I'm very proud of that fake
If it is a fresh plant, it's probably not going to stay there long. And maybe somebody gave it to me as a gift, needs to be shown off for a little bit. But even that, but to me, that's desk space that I don't want to use up. I'd also say for the walls, I don't want my walls covered in bookshelves. If
Well,
I have
was
that
gonna
many
bring-
books, I want to
Yeah.
get rid of some of them.
I was going to bring that up in some sense because I feel like growing up, I have the picture in my mind of seeing the administrator or sitting in his office because I was there frequently because we were good buddies. And what I remembered or at least connected with the eliteness of the office was a bookshelf. Not necessarily overkill of a bookshelf, but there is that what is important to this individual. And at the same time there could be that turnoff of like, I know he has books there, but they don't really connect with him, or
Sure.
they're there for a show more than they are like that's his reference. Those are what he's running to. That's what he's doing. And granted, I've got books all over my office. A lot of history books, less educational books, but
You've got everything all over your office.
I just love being able to grab, and I do that a lot. I teach in my office sometimes too, and I'm like, look over there. You see that book? Like, that's a really good book to get into, and it talks about that. And even today, it was funny. One of the I'm teaching U.S. history to two of our juniors, and one of them said, what was the name of this book? Have you ever heard of this book? I was like, you mean that one right there? Oh, yeah, that one.
Oh, nice.
So it's cool. But
Way to
yeah,
go.
I mean, I understand, and I don't like the bookshelf behind me. I prefer being the one looking at the books as opposed to whoever's in my office looking at the books.
Sure.
So I actually have one of those. My bookshelf is on the opposite side of my office as opposed to right next to me.
Yeah, we want that eye contact on us, not on what's
Yeah.
behind us. It's not again, going back to the distraction.
Yep.
I think we've talked enough about we don't need to return to like the missional. We don't want things that are detracting from Christ. We don't want things distracting from the Bible. We don't want things just to inform this people there that we're anything other than Christians and other than serious about our position in the Christian school. So that should, at this point, three episodes in, let's just say it goes without saying. And that being said, I don't have anything else to say about the principal's office. I think I've talked more about the principal's office now than I ever really care to again.
I've got one thing.
Go for it.
The floors.
Oh yeah, the floors.
We got to talk about the floors.
I don't want to be hard. I don't want
Here's
hard
the thing.
floors.
Here's the thing about the floors. Whatever you do, make sure you can see the floor. I say that from the absolute bottom of my heart. In your office, I pray and I hope that you can always see your floor. A good portion of it, anyway. Not just the strategic step through to then get to your desk. And Mark is laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
At this point, I'm pretty sure if you move the boxes on your floor, there would be like the LED outline of the boxes where it's like sun-baked, but from because they haven't moved.
Pretty much.
Ooh, scary.
Actually,
good point. Good point.
You would be very proud, actually,
Oh.
today that I have regained my floor today.
Oh, we made a dent.
But
we made a
yes.
dent, folks.
I don't know about you, but my office does tend to be that catch, not necessarily catch all, but we have big events coming up, and every time we have these events, because my office is obviously the one that is almost always locked, a lot of stuff gets put in there for safekeeping. But then I say, okay, it's been safe long enough. Get rid of it.
Get it out of here.
Get it out of here.
We need to move on to our Christian Administrator Spotlight, Matt.
So we are shouting out Kathy Guerra. Am I saying that right?
You know what? I don't know, but I will find out when I call her up to tell her
pretty
she's
sure
on this
it's
episode.
Guerra?
Yeah,
Lighthouse
Guerra,
Christian
right?
Academy. Yeah.
In
I want
Stevensville.
to say it's Spanish anyway. It looks like a Spanish name, but
Yeah,
I could be
it's in,
wrong.
so Kathy serves at Lighthouse Christian Academy in Stevensville, which would be there on Kent Island, which is right before you cross the high bridge to get to the western
bridge.
shore, as we say. The bridge that scares me, keeps me in the middle lane. I don't like it. I do drive over it a lot.
I actually had to close it down today.
Oh, with the winds.
Because it was a wind.
Winds were nuts today. Yeah, but I have driven over it many times. Still don't like it. but I actually ran across it. It's called the Bay Bridge Run. My wife and I did a couple of years ago. It was awesome. But still, anyway, right before you cross over on the Eastern Shore side, so on the correct side of Maryland, there is Kent Island, and in Stevensville there is the Lighthouse Christian Academy, and Kathy has been serving now there for some time, and the school is a part of a church. It's a church-exempt school in the state of Maryland. So, Kathy, we are excited for what you're doing there, and really there are not too many other Christian schools like that in that area. So, Kathy, we're excited for you and what you're doing there, and we're going to pray for you now.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for Kathy. Thank you for her leadership at Lighthouse. And as she pursues excellence in all things, I pray that you would continue to support her, encourage her. May she be encouraged, maybe even from this episode, as fun as it was, just taking a fresh look at things. And as she finishes out this school year, just may she have a wonderful time doing all for your honor and glory. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right.
And that's going to do it. Man, another perfect thing done. We created it. I really want somebody at some point to go back through our back catalog, find all the perfect things that we've created, and just make a school out of it.
And
that
would be something.
This is the Christian Principles Podcast School because it's perfect.
We would walk in. We wouldn't like it, though.
Yeah, probably. We have all kinds of ideas about how to change it.
This is horrible. Start over. What were we thinking? All right, everybody. Thanks for growing with us today.
Could we ask you a favor? Please help us grow our channel by clicking on the plus follow button at the top of the screen on Apple Podcasts or the follow button on the main podcast page on Spotify. Taking this step helps boost our ratings, but more importantly, gets us in more Christian school admins' ears. Also, it'll keep our latest content in your feed. This little action could help us take this podcast a long way.